Okay, terribly sorry about that, everybody. There's probably going to be a little bit of lag while all of this is loading. Again, just a problem with my bandwidth. Usually, so I would love to say that this doesn't... This is the first time that this has happened. This is actually something I've run into before, and normally my save file gets corrupt. So basically, I don't get any achievements if I continue on this path. So basically what I just need to do with that is exit the game and reload it, so you all get to be treated to the view of my cluttered desktop for a minute, and then we'll be back on track. Oh, it's still staticky? Sorry. What? Okay, well, I owe somebody...
For lack of a better word, is good.
I owe somebody a really huge thank you once I... Okay, once I get my audio fixed, I owe somebody a massive thank you. If you guys could just let me know how the audio quality is, and who am I thanking for that absolutely insane donation? Ah, thank you, Sir Wedgie. You'll never know. Good God. Blood Gallade, thank you so much. Okay, guys, I am really sorry about this. My empire basically was crumbling. My Twitch boss just showed up. And then my computer crashed, and now my save file is corrupt. So, I'm going to have to get things done one at a time. First of all, and then I need to sell Team Panda again. Yeah, by the way, this is what my desktop's going to look like. So, sorry to subject you guys to that. Okay, clearly whoever just donated that $25, as you'll never know, I owe an absolutely tremendous thank you. That is an extremely generous amount for a stream that clearly does not have its act together. I have a feeling that the fact that you didn't put your name on the donation now is... I'm probably not going to be able to tease that out of you in chat. But suffice to say, I'm trying to get a little bit better on the donation thing. But that is an incredibly humbling amount of money to donate for my silly little system talky, strategy gamey, fly-by-night channel. Now, we've got a whole bunch of other people in chat as well. So, Kite260, thanks a lot for coming by. It's good to see you again. Fragman777, if you're still here, terribly sorry about the Charlie Foxtrot that is this stream at the moment. Oh, the Kite, was that seriously you? Thank you so much. Did the static come back? Endors, how are you doing as well? Okay, so problem number 1 is solved. The save file is no longer corrupt, so... Thanks, Fragman. Okay. So one of the drawbacks about this is the we're going to be reliving a little bit of history. No static, all is well. Okay. So we're moderately back to what it normally was. And there's a lot of you in chat now. So Kite, thank you for the donation. Clara, thank you for stopping by. And I feel like I got cut off. Oh, you were doing work on your friend's channel for 4 hours or so. Sorry you're late. No need to apologize, Blood Gallade. It's always, like, this is the point that I don't think I can stress enough. It's, you know, the donations, the follows, all of these are wonderful things that you can give me, but the fact that there are people in the channel talking and sort of giving me some back and forth is actually probably the best gift that you can give me, because there's no shortage of things that I can talk about. But the fact that I get some feedback in terms of what people find interesting and things that are worth going into, as opposed to the things that are, you know, just me blowing hot air, you know, that means something to me. That has value to me. And so honestly, the best gift that you guys can give me is being in chat at any point. And one of the reasons why I do Crusader Kings 2 is because there's obviously no shortage of people that you can watch on a Friday night. And the fact that, you know, you're spending that time with me is not definitely not underappreciated. I wouldn't be watching me, to be honest. No, I think I have enough of an inclination for these kinds of games that I'd like it, but it's absolutely appreciated. Burgundy looks huge. Yeah, hey, the bear. So yeah, one of the weird things that... Let's do a quick recap in terms of what's happened with this game, because it seems, just before we hit that unpause button, I can sort of explain the context of this game. At some point in 2 playthroughs ago, Italy suddenly got consumed by Burgundy. Other historical anomalies are the Byzantine Empire now has territory up here. France doesn't actually have a kingdom. It's run entirely by lowborn, so apparently it became a republic in the Middle Ages. Akadak, how the devil are you? Thanks, Blood Galate. But no, I mean it. It's, you know, it's one thing to be able to sit here and BS on, you know, in front of a live studio audience for a while. But, you know, whether it's one person that I get to talk with in chat, or, you know, or 10 or 15 or 40 people, usually that happens when Jesse Quill hosts. It means a lot to be able to, you know, to interact with you guys, especially because whether it's contributing something to the game or whether it's giving me, you know, an opinion, especially opinions that are different from my own, it gives me something to interact with. And in the end, we're social creatures, so that counts for a lot. So EduQ's the laugh track. Doing pretty well, System Shock. No pants, so life is good. How are you, my good man? Well, we just got over an absolute... again, to use non-mature labeled stream language, a Charlie Foxtrot of a computer crash and Empire falling apart. It looks like we actually have fewer wars as a result of that crash, so I guess I lucked out there. You like how Italy is a burgundy boot with a pink toe? Yeah. But other than some of the technical problems that we're having, we're doing quite well tonight. So one of the things, so I'll tell you a little bit of the context in terms of where we find ourselves. The Abbasid Caliphate, which is a Muslim empire, traditionally has about 130,000 troops. This is compared to the 60,000 that we currently have. So they declared war on us, and we're currently losing that war. This war score goes from -100 to +100. If you're +100, you've won. If you're -100, you've lost. We're currently at -53, but we've taken them from 130,000 screaming Sunnis to 30,000 screaming Sunnis. So what we're doing right now is we're trying... The strategy all through last play session was to just kind of harass them around the edges, keep them from being able to directly engage us and take advantage of their numbers, and just slowly whittle them down. And that's been successful for about 100,000 followers of the Prophet. What we're running into right now is we have an adventurer that's going to be coming on January the 28th, so the end of this month, is going to be coming to try and claim some of my territories. I'm currently fighting a crusade in Hungary, which is about to finish. And then I've got an adventurer with about 18,000 troops, which is coming to take my territory as well. So basically, we're fighting about 3 different wars, all of which, I guess the analogy that I made earlier in this playthrough was we're juggling 3 balls, soon to be 4, and I need to keep as many of them up in the air as long as I can so I can deal with 1 war at a time. The strategy is going to be to try and hold off engagement with the Abbasid Caliphate as long as possible. And the idea here is that these guys, over time, are going to be able to rebuild their troops, and then they can just declare war on me again. So if I can declare war on them after this. So basically, once you sign a peace treaty, if they attacked you, you can still do a counterattack. So the idea here is to take advantage of me winning this war, which I'm currently losing, take their diminished troop strength, and use that against them, basically to claim more territory, which is going to drain their ability to engage in war against me. So I want to end the war with the Caliphate last, so I can regroup and then start taking some territory of my own. The Crusade's basically going to sort itself out. Before the game crashed, we actually, we'd finished that. And so what I've got right now is this stack of ships, which are bringing about 20,000 troops to deal with this adventurer over here. So again, the strategy may change, but that's currently where we're sitting right now. As far as where this game began, we actually started as a single count in this lowly part of England, and we now own all this. Iceland, substantial part of Iberia, and more or less the entirety of West Africa. And we are doing our good job as good Catholics and wiping out all of the local religions. So almost all of Europe is Catholic, and we have almost exterminated all of the West African religion because the House of Rose does not tolerate separate religious groups. I mean, if you're looking for ideal strategy in this game, this is definitely not this is not the playthrough for it. It's the House of Rose is this very curious, near gangsterish kind of family who will use religious pretexts to just take as much territory as they can from people and put it in their own family's name. It's the least politically correct family of the Middle Ages. You'll be here every stream unless you're literally dying, though you may be late for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Listen, Blood Gallade, I am extremely happy to hear that. 3 wars at once, that's great. Well, we were doing more than 3 wars earlier, so attack them before they can ink that treaty. God wills it. I don't know if I'll be able to get back to the point about maps, but one of the things that's unique about Crusader Kings as opposed to some of these other grand strategy titles is that the focus of this game is sort of on this idea of the individual ruler, so the fractured nature of the feudal system, these small units, these small constituents. All right, the host is landed. I think we're still going to wind up losing this engagement. If I was smart, I would have just looked at history and disbanded these troops, but I suppose that's kind of cheating if I already know what the outcome is. But basically, the neat thing about this game is that it's really focused on the individual. It's focused on the fact that just because you're king, it doesn't mean that the people who you are the ruler of don't have a say in what they want. A majority of this game, and especially because we've been ruling this empire, every individual subject has something that they want to achieve, and that may potentially be counter to your own interests. And so this game is very much about the individual and the interpersonal relationships that you have with your vassals, and effectively, how hard, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Basically, all the problems that you need to deal with as a ruler to try and properly manage your kingdom or your empire. And in addition to that, then you have things like religious differences. The Abbasid Caliphate is declaring war on me because I'm Catholic, just as much as I declare war on them for them being Muslim. These adventurers have fabricated claims on my territory because they want power themselves. And even though I've got, an extremely strong military, the fact that they're doing this at a time when I'm fighting 3 different wars means that they might actually be able to get away with it. So what's interesting is if you contrast this against the game that, as far as chronological order is considered, is the next one, Europa Universalis 4, this is very much about the nation state and the, this idea that all of a sudden it's not just a bunch of counts and dukes kind of fighting it out to see who gets, their say on tax policy or something like that. Instead, it's about, where Crusader Kings 2, you can be very happy playing this small individual count in a tiny corner of the world where nothing really matters. In the case of Europa Universalis 4, you actually want to be as big as possible because it's that period of history where it stopped being these fragmented individual little units, and instead they started to become very large empires. And it ends just kind of on the dawn of the industrial area, which, a Paradox also has a game for, which is Victoria 2. And of course that eventually came to an end in World War I and World War II, which is where the final game in their grand strategy series comes, which is Hearts of Iron. So what's very interesting is that they've kind of come to personify these historical periods through some mechanics. So again, Crusader Kings 2, where you're talking about an era where, the Roman Empire had just fallen, and everybody's kind of carving out their place in the world, and, there's certain technological restrictions in terms of what you can accomplish and things like that. This game has decided to represent that with a very heavy emphasis on diplomacy. Whereas Europa Universalis is a little bit more in terms of how you use the strengths of your nation, how you can research technology faster. If you're not a Western country, can you Westernize fast enough? If you're a very large empire, how do you stop rivals from being able to, to stake claims on things that you want? Or even simple things that, like, maybe you could be a very well-established empire, but then the very real things that actually break apart countries, like inflation, are built into the game. So that's kind of where I was talking about map. Oh, actually, sorry. We've got a little bit of chat here. Pretext. Grandpa's descendants are men of God. I'm not saying that they're not men of God. They're just very practical in their targets. But yeah, I mean, we have where I was talking about maps before, like, there's a lot of moving parts to these games, and I like the fact that they haven't shied away from from making these games big and complicated. And I was talking about, again, whether economists like maps just because they're raging nerds. I guess I'll read this flavor text again. Successful crusade for Hungary. Jesus has granted Emperor Maccus of Britannia victory in the crusade for Hungary against High Chief Tolui of Ungvar. Pope Gregory V has called for a month of celebration across the whole Christian world. Praise Jesus! So, again, this they've made the game very complicated, but I don't know if I'd call it the counter or the antidote to that is instead of just looking at all of the moving parts and saying, oh my god, you take a look at the different screens that are relevant. So again, if you want to see the influence of religion, you have a map for that. If you want to see what the traditional boundaries are, you've got an item for that. Here's this territory that I just got. I think I just got. Yes. Here's Transylvania, by the way. So again, instead of just saying, it's like, okay, well, people aren't used to having complicated games anymore, so maybe we should tone it down a little bit. They say, no, we'll make the game complicated still, but what we're going to do is we're going to give a number of tools to enable people to make decisions. We're going to let them have a series of tools that gives them the information they need to be able to prosecute these wars properly. And so, where I was talking about the thesis advisor saying that my lack of visualizing data is the rookie mistake, which it is. You have a whole bunch of maps and beautifully rendered maps so that, again, you can play this game as an ordinary, semi-real-time strategy game and just take a look at the geographic features. But in reality, this game is a lot more than that, and you just simply focus on what you want your overall strategy to be, which in this case was just get as much territory as possible, which is now why I have to deal with seemingly every single rebellion and adventure and basically the collapse of my empire. Is this the rebellion? No, this is Thalmar's host. This is the adventure. I still don't know how I'm going to deal with this. But basically, instead of trying to... how do I put this? Instead of trying to... instead of trying to deal with everything at once, you take your goal, you get the piece of information that you need from these maps in the bottom corner here, and then you execute on that strategy. So again, like we were talking about with the Abbasids, they outnumber us, so how do we deal with that? Well, you know, face them at the hot gates where their numbers will count for nothing, you know. Try and harass them around the periphery, use the fact that they can't have their entire army in one spot, and then just slowly break them apart that way. And that was a fairly successful strategy. But the problem that I have now is I've got a number of different wars going on at the same time. And so I need to prioritize, you know, how many troops do I commit to this theater? Am I going to be able to achieve, you know, goal A now that I've got an adventurer on the other side of the world who wants to claim some of my territory? I was willing to accept, like, if you look at it, this has no relation to this, right? There's absolutely no reason for me to have holdings in the Middle East other than the fact that I'm playing this game in character and House Rose doesn't give up. But, you know, in the end, you do the best that you can with the information that you have. And so that's why, I mean, again, I think in the end, you can always have a map that looks at things from geography, but those aren't the only maps that are available, right? If you take a look at subway maps, right? Subway maps are almost never going to tell you the exact distance in meters between stops, but that doesn't matter. What you care about is the topology of a subway system. You care about the order in which the different stops occur. I completely forgot to give away the duchies. Oh, do I... Sorry, you know what, T. Clark, I completely forgot to answer your question. I do actually plan on exporting this game to Europa Universalis 4. And House Rose doesn't understand giving up unless it's referring to giving up the... well, we did borrow... Oh, we did expel the Jewry in this playthrough, so... When... I actually kind of hope this guy dies soon then, because I do actually want to... I want to re-invite the Jewry into the into the country. So I did a bit of a screw up. I actually need to find somebody to give these titles to again. By the way, thank you for sitting through. I know this is basically just repeating all of the actions that I took before. This probably isn't the most exciting material that I could be giving you. And I still have 2 territories that I shouldn't. Why? Oh, it's probably here. This is a puzzle, actually. So what I'm doing right now is just trying to find somebody in the bloodline that I can give this territory to. So this is Zvolin. The reason that I need to do this, so I should maybe explain a little bit about what's happening.